Hi everybody, thank you for joining me. It's out today, Paul McCartney, the lyrics, 1956 to the present. This is Paul McCartney's big release for 2021 and there is not a note of music inside this. This is, I can already tell you that this is heavy. I'm going to get this opened up in a moment. I'm going to show you some close-ups of exactly what this book's like. I know there's going to be some of you who have got this book today already on release day, but I also know, obviously because of the time of year, some of you might be wondering whether this is a good thing to hang on to and get maybe as a Christmas present. So hopefully I can give you an idea of whether that's going to be the right thing for you or not. If you've not seen me before, my name's Andrew Dixon and I do videos about all the major Beatles releases, some of the smaller Beatles releases and various other things as well. If you like the sound of that, then please subscribe and you won't miss my future videos. But anyway, without further ado, let us open this up and I'm going to talk about this and show you what's inside. Well, as you can probably tell, I've just been having a quick flick through of this just to get an idea of what's in here. And I can tell you that I'm going to be very, very favourable towards this, which I know will annoy some of those people out there who just get annoyed by how enthusiastic I am sometimes about Beatles products. You're going to be annoyed again. Tough. Because this is a beautifully put together book. I'm going to show you all sides of it, insides of it, covers, etc. in a moment. I'm going to put links down in the description in the comments for if you want to order your copy of this, that will be there. So anyway, let's get you a good shot of that front cover. Paul McCartney, the lyrics. So the front cover, we know this photograph. This is a photo taken by Paul's brother Mike McCartney, and this is in the back garden of their house at 20 Forthlin Road in Liverpool where they grew up, and of course was used as the cover for Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. So it's obviously a very special photograph for Paul. He's used it at various points over the years on high profile issues of his. So Paul McCartney, the lyrics, you can see there at the side it says Paul McCartney, the lyrics, edited with an introduction by Paul Muldoon. We'll talk a little bit more about him in a moment. The back cover looks the same, and this is a very strong, sturdy slipcase that houses two books. So I'm going to get both of these books out in a moment, but you will see that they are there. You've got book one is Paul McCartney, the lyrics, and this is containing songs alphabetically from A to K, and the second volume, songs from L to Z. So let's get the first one out. And before we look at the first one, actually, just to tell you that this was on the back when I took the cellophane off. This was attached to the back cover, so this is just a little bit of information about the book, but you can, if you want to pause that and have a little look at your leisure, you can do. See if we can get you a close-up of that. So yes, very good, very good. So volume one, you will see there that you've got, this is a dust jacket that I'm going to take off in a moment and show you what's underneath. Very nice picture of Paul there with some reproduction of the lyrics to Hey Jude on there. And then on the back, we've got another nice Beatle era picture of Paul, and we've got some lyrics to Back in the USSR there. But this dust jacket comes off. I'll take that off. In fact, I'll just show you on the inside of the dust jacket. There's like a little forward there, just with some blurb about the book. Okay, so that dust jacket is off, and the actual hardback cover, very, very sturdily put together. The lyrics there to Average Person from Pipes of Peace, and on the back, Paul's handwritten lyrics to A Band on the Run. So let's open this up. I'm not going to show you every page of this. There's nearly 900 pages, I think, in this. So I'm not going to show you them all, but I'm just going to give you a rough idea of what is in here. So on the opening cover, a photograph that looks to me like it's Paul in his sessions that would lead to the McCartney 2 album. And then, of course, we've got introduction here, Paul McCartney, the lyrics, 1965 to the present, by Alan Lane. That's the publishers, which is a division of Penguin Books. Paul Muldoon is a very well recognised poet. So he's been in interviews with Paul. I've been reading in here that they conducted 50 hours worth of interviews over a period of years that have led to Paul Muldoon taking Paul McCartney's words and turning it into this lyrics book. So in terms of whether we're ever going to get an autobiography from Paul, I think we know we're not. But also Paul's very open about the fact that, you know, if you want a Paul McCartney autobiography, well, this is the kind of thing that is going to be it. You know, as far as he's concerned, his songs really sort of tell the story of his life. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But anyway, dedicated to my wife Nancy and my mum and dad, Mary and Jim. Okay, copyright information, a little bit more. To thine own self be true, William Shakespeare. Okay, must be a quote that Paul likes. So, if you want to know which lyrics are talked about in here, let's get you that. If you want to have a look at that, you may do. So there's obviously an awful lot of familiar songs here from Beatles era right up to the present day. But there's one or two things where even if you sort of followed Paul McCartney a lot, you might look at them and think, oh, what's that? In this volume 1, probably the least recognised set of lyrics here is under G, Ghosts of the Past Left Behind. That's from the Liverpool oratorio that Paul did back in the very early 1990s. So there's also a couple of lesser known ones in volume 2 that we'll come on to in a moment. There's then, after that, we've got a forward, well, I'll show you this actually. It does cover the lyrics that are covered in volume 2 as well here, but it does repeat these in volume 2. And again, some of the ones that you might not be familiar with are on page 700, Tell Me Who He Is. And that's described as being, well, Paul can date it as well as he can to either the very late 50s or the very early 60s, a song that he wrote with John. So it's interesting to hear him telling some of those stories again. And the other one that might be less familiar is The World You're Coming Into. There again, that's from the Liverpool oratorio. But it's absolutely packed with lyrics of songs, and Paul, it's not just showing the lyrics, it's Paul telling the songs about the lyrics, as we'll see in a moment. But we've got a foreword by Paul McCartney there, and not just a brief one, you know, there's plenty of detail that he's gone into there. Show you that. You know, there's a lot here. So that's good. So it is a lengthy introduction. We've then got a note to the reader, so just some information about how this book was put together. And like I say, this is where it says that it was from 50 hours worth of conversations that the two Pauls, McCartney and Muldoon, did with each other over a series of a number of years. We've then got an introduction by Paul Muldoon, who, as I said, has taken Paul's interviews and put them together. So that's nice to hear his thoughts about putting this book together. And then it gets into the actual meat of the book. So it's alphabetically. So I'm just going to give you an idea of what kind of thing you get here. So for example, you've got the first song alphabetically is All My Loving. So it gives you general information about who wrote the song, when it was released. You've got the lyrics to the song. Then it goes into Paul's description of what he remembers about the writing of the song, what it meant to him, what he was talking about, what was going on in his life at the time. And you've got that for something like 156 songs in this book. So this is going to keep you busy for a long time. Now, I immediately noticed when I read this that this is what Paul read. If you've not heard about it, I think it's probably just worth mentioning to you. If you've got access to the BBC iPlayer, Paul's done an interview there for a show called This Cultural Life, where he talks about the book for about 40 odd minutes, which is really good. And then there's a series of 10 separate episodes, each sort of between 5 and 10 minutes long, called Inside the Sounds. And one of those episodes is All My Loving, where it's Paul literally kind of reading what's in the book. So it's kind of him reading this page from the book. So you have got here lots and lots of great photographs, lots of details of all the songs. So it's really, really well put together, and it might be that if you're thinking that, you know, there's a McCartney fan in your life that you might want to buy this as a present for if they've not got it, I think they would really, really appreciate this. So that's really nice. That's volume 1. I'm going to show you volume 2 in a second. A couple of things that I just wanted to mention really as well about this is that So I was saying that, you're not going to get an autobiography from Paul. It's things like this that are going to be the nearest that you're ever going to get. And I think as well, things like the McCartney 321 series that he did with Rick Rubin recently, that's been on Disney Plus, Hulu, I think those things as well are sort of instead of an autobiography. So, if I'm not going to sort of try and claim I can think what's going through Paul McCartney's head, but I think if I was Paul McCartney and I didn't want to write an autobiography, I think being in a room with Rick Rubin and listening to those songs and talking about them, or having a series of interviews with Paul Muldoon in this case, where he can then go away and put in all the actual work of writing it down, then I think if I was Paul McCartney, I'd probably see that as a good alternative to writing my autobiography. Anyway, this is volume 2. So again, this is the slipcover. I'll take this off in a moment and show you what's underneath. So we've got lyrics to Yesterday there. Really nice up-to-date photograph of Paul there. And then on the back, we've got an older photograph of Paul, but still, I would say probably from maybe around about the early 2000s, something like that. And we've got some lyrics to Maybe I'm Amazed there. Let's take this off. Take this dust jacket off and show you what's underneath here. First of all as well, there's also a bit more blurb there on the inside of the dust jacket. I'm also going to show you in a moment how this looks on a bookcase sat alongside some other books, in case you're thinking, well, how much room does it take up on a bookshelf? You'll get to see that in a moment. You've got some lyrics there to When I'm 64, unfortunately, and that's not me that spilt something on that. That's part of the book. Obviously, Paul at some point has spilt something on those lyrics, and then on the back you've got the lyrics to Penny Lane there. So it's kind of the same kind of thing in volume 2. Again, it's lots of great photographs and lots of Paul talking for hours and hours. Which is certainly how long it'll take to read this as well, about the various songs that is recorded over the years. So it's really nice. One thing that I've noticed during the build-up to this is that Paul's been talking about sort of some of the songs, whether it's, let's say, for example, Yesterday, and he's been talking quite a bit about the Jane Asher period, which is something that he does now and again, but not massively often. And it kind of struck me when he was doing that, because it's always sort of very sort of faithfully that he talks about that era. I know he had a lot of affection, for example, for Jane's parents, and they sort of helped him out by letting him live there during the mid-60s. And I really, really respect Jane Asher for the fact that she's kept quiet for all these decades. I think she's a very, very classy lady. But it would also be really nice if she maybe sort of saw that, Paul can talk very respectfully about this era and with fondness. It'd be lovely to think that maybe she might feel it's time to do the same. I don't know. Obviously, she was the wronged party in the breakup, so maybe her memories might be a little different. But it'd be nice to think that maybe at some point she would tell some of her stories. But we will see. The other thing as well is some of the controversies that have been ridiculously, I think, coming to the fore during the publicity campaign for this book. And of course, well, it gets it known and it gets copies sold, but things like, Paul during adverts for this book has been talking about, well, it wasn't me that broke up the Beatles, that was our Johnny. And, he gets so much stick from people who are sort of saying, oh, that's great, but blame John Lennon, he's not here to defend himself. And it's a ridiculous claim, is that, because anybody who knows anything about the Beatles story knows that John Lennon quit the Beatles sort of 6 months before Paul McCartney announced that he was leaving. John Lennon admitted it, even as far back as 1970 in his Rolling Stone interview. He mentioned it. So, it's nothing that John Lennon never said and nothing that McCartney hasn't been saying for years. So why it becomes a story, I don't know. And the other one that's come out in the last few days is this claim that where Paul mentions something about having been involved in writing some of the lyrics in A Day in the Life around the sort of Tara Brown blew his mind out in a car section of the song. Now, This isn't the first time Paul's mentioned this either. He talked about this in the Barry Miles book many years from now, which was back in the 1990s. So again, this is nothing new. This is not suddenly, 78-year-old Paul McCartney, a 79-year-old, suddenly sort of making something up that he's never talked about before. Now, did Paul McCartney write those lyrics or help with those lyrics? I don't know. None of us know. The only two people who could ever know that would be John Lennon and Paul McCartney. So I don't know whether he did or not, but I certainly can't. I don't have the knowledge to say he never did that because, we don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. But anyway, this is a great, well put together book, and I'm really going to enjoy spending some time with that. I've still got the Get Back book by the Beatles that came out a couple of weeks ago to get through, so there's a lot of reading coming on. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what this looks like in a bookcase, again, so you can get an idea, against some other things that you might be familiar with that already sit on your bookcase. So, do you want to come with me? Let's have a look. So, I've made a little space that I think should be about right, and I think if I can... It's not easy when you're holding the camera in the other hand. Yes, that fits in there. Now, so have a look at this. I can push that back there. You'll see in terms of thickness, that is a thick book. It's kind of as thick as 2 or 3 of these big books put together. But it does go further back. So it's that's as far back as it goes, okay? So it does sit further back than some of the bigger books, but I think that will look very nice on your bookcase. So I want to hear all about whether you're getting this book, what you think of it. Of course, down in the comments, let me know. I am going to be eagerly awaiting what we get next from Paul McCartney, because we haven't had an archive collection this year, which has been a shame. But I hope that we're going to be getting one sometime soon next year, and I will, of course, be all over that. But anyway, I'm done. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.